Hello and welcome to Official Xbox 360 Magazine's video review of Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. I'm John Hicks, I'm the editor, and I'm joined by Aoife Wilson, staff writer.
Hello.
We've both completed the game. We both are extremely in love with the fact that it is this ridiculous combination of 1980s action movies like Predator and Commando and all that kind of stuff, and they've just kind of riffed on that massively. And
I heart the 80s, so yeah, I was really looking forward to this. I mean, like, some of my favourite movies are like, you know, Big Trouble in Little China, all those terrible movies. The worse the better for me, so yeah. Yeah,
and it's the thing I really like about this, like, I don't think it's put a foot wrong in terms of being like an 80s, you know, sort of representation of those games. Like the music is absolutely spot on, the narrative is spot on. They've got Michael Biehn, who probably mispronouncing that, who was the original guy in Terminator. He's the voice of
John
Rex
Connor's dad.
John Connor's dad. So he's Rex Power Cult.
Power Cult.
And it's absolutely, like, the aesthetic is perfect, and they've got all these great kind of sort of 16-bit cutscenes in the middle as well. That's also perfect.
Basically, every trope that you can possibly think of in an 80s movie, they've got it in there somehow. Yeah,
definitely. And it's like I kind of don't want to say, like, go through all the references, because I think when I played it, it was funnier that I didn't see it coming. Like, you kind of you'll kind of run around, and then there'll be one of these cutscenes, and you're like, oh god, I can't believe they put in that there. Oh man, and it's really funny, but I think if I'd known it was coming, it would have spoiled it. But, including this, actually, this bit, I'll spoil this, but this is right at the beginning, and I think it's been in the trailer as well. So this is literally the start of it, which is like, right, here's a minigun.
This is your arrival on the island.
Yeah,
get to the chopper. Straight in there with
yeah,
the
and it's got like
references.
the Long Tall Sally song from Predator playing. And this is about the level of sort of sophistication that Blood Dragon aspires to. Really, it's just like minigunning stuff.
You can't complain. I mean, you know, right off the bat, there is plenty of explosions, plenty of neon, because the neon's very important.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like, because obviously the island is this kind of weird 80s, like,
dystopian vision.
Dystopian vision of the far future, 2007. So you don't have a day-night cycle, you've got like a red-blue cycle.
It's basically just all quite grim all the time. It never gets too bright outside.
Yeah. And it's just, again, aesthetic, absolutely perfect. I guess the problem I have with it, and I do, because I really love, like, the 80s stuff. Is absolutely my speed. Love those movies. There's a bunch of, like, 80s cartoon references in there. That's also great.
Yes, that particular mission that I think you're referring to. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, which again, I'm not going to spoil, but that is amazing. Like, if you grew up in like the sort of 80s come 90s, you are going to love this game, because it's just, there's all this stuff you'll recognise. You're like, oh god, and just huge props to Ubisoft for even making it.
The marketing as well was quite hilarious. Just all the sort of the trailers, like the 80s cartoon style things, like leading up to it. I mean, everything is just pretty much pitch perfect.
Yeah. Including, and actually we can see on the, like, this kind of tutorial here, it's this is funny. Like, it gets tiresome after a while, but I love the fact that they kind of said, like, right, we've reset your thing, and you've just got him, like, kind of groaning and swearing, and
there's one that's basically press A to make these patronising tooltips end.
Yes, and then you press A and they still keep going, which is one of the problems I have with it, actually, is that it's kind of pointing out how dumb it is. It's like, oh, isn't it funny that these tooltips are so irritating? And then it keeps putting the tooltips in. And it's like, all right, so you're kind of spoiling your own joke there.
But it's not even that. It's like, okay, these tooltips are irritating, and you're pointing that out, but they're still irritating, and you still got to get through them.
Yeah, and that kind of drove me nuts after a while. The tooltips go away, like, after a bit, but then, like, the achievements, like, the collectibles, there's a bunch of stuff you can collect. And whenever you collect it, he kind of makes this crack about, oh, I'm going to have to collect flags.
Yeah.
And, like, the first time I go, oh, so you made a not particularly funny thing about collectibles. Okay, cool. And then he says that again and again and again and again, and basically almost every time I picked up a collectible, it was like reminding me that I was wasting my life collecting stuff.
Exactly, and it's like, you know, these completely pointless collectibles, and it's like, I'm enjoying doing this. I don't really want to be reminded that it's completely arbitrary that much.
Yeah, it's like so you kind of decided that, oh well, you know, we're sending up the 80s, let's send up games as well, and you can't really do that if you're not going to actually improve games.
Yeah, he's just thrown a dice to distract there, and it was rocks in the original Far Cry, and now it's like little Dungeons and Dragons dice, which is also great. And you know, and this is one of the kind of basic Far Cry systems are still there. So there's this kind of sneaking around and distracting guards and stuff. Sneaking around is less of a mechanic here though, because the guns and that, I mean, unless you use the bow, I don't think any of the guns have silencers on them.
You can get suppressors.
The pistol has one, but
I mean, basically the way it works, and this is another kind of gripe, because I really like Far Cry 3, and the thing I really liked about Far Cry 3 was the situations like this, where you know, there's all these guys are here, and you can decide how you want to do it. You can distract them, you can kind of sneak up and stab them all, kind of do a kind of like messy chain kill thing here. This is quite nicely done. And this game, because you can't, you get the bow quite early on, which is great, but you also have to start facing heavy enemies really early on. So you can't just like kind of stay back and cap everybody silently. You've got to get guns out. And you can get weapon silences, but they don't. But you have to complete side missions, and then they don't actually silence the weapons, as far as I can tell.
I didn't quite mind it so much, because for me, it sort of fit the tone of this a little bit better. I mean, it's 80s, it's gung-ho, it's in your face. Like, you know, it's meant to be like he's an action figure, and basically he's running, he doesn't care quite so much for the stealth. Because I stealthed Far Cry 3 pretty much completely, so it was kind of refreshing to be given that free pass almost to do this completely differently.
Yeah. I mean, and there is that, and you know, and it feels daft me complaining about this. Like, oh, you made this 80s machismo thing, and it doesn't let you be stealthy. But it's sort of the strength of the game. There's like,
choice,
like because if you want to be a kind of like gung-ho machismo game, like Bulletstorm was an awesome gung-ho machismo game, and that was great because it's like, right, easy gun, go nuts. And this one, where I mean, when it's sort of great, like when you get the minigun, which again doesn't take very long, and that just absolutely minces everything. And if you hold the trigger down, then he starts yelling, and that's all great. But like when you're trying to do it any other way, which is particularly if you try, because I kind of did a bit of story, went off and cleared out some outposts, because there's still those outposts you can do, and I kind of flicked back and forth like that. And actually doing the outposts was a little bit irritating.
The garrisons were more repetitive in this one, because you didn't have as much choice in how to sort of take them out. I think I actually rinsed through them pretty much instantly, because I wanted to sort of get them out of the way and then sort of focus on the story missions. And it was, as you say.
Yeah, well, here's another great moment. The winners don't do drugs, kids, which is another great kind of cartoon thing. Or like sort of weird, like because some of the language later on is really like, oh wow, they actually went there, sort of thing. And then it'll suddenly, but then it's cut with winners don't do drugs, and you know, some other stuff, which is a little bit weird, but. Yeah, it's just like the actual shooting. It's still fun. I mean, it still gives you more space than most shooters. I mean, that was what Far Cry 3 did, but it's just a bit. It's just not as satisfying. Like this is one of the early missions, and this is me kind of sneaking around, trying to do it a little bit craftily. And actually, what really the best way to do is just to sort of run in and like gun everybody in the face. Which is all right, and obviously it's absolutely totally appropriate to it. But running in and gunning people in the face when it's sort of open and they're going to run around and flank you,
and then send in reinforcements,
and that sort of thing. And in this one, this is like a hostage collection thing. So quite a lot of the side missions, when you liberate outposts and stuff, like in Far Cry 3, you'd liberate an outpost and there'd be some jobs you could do on the notice board. There's only one or two
kinds, isn't there? Yeah,
and quite a lot of them this kind of hostage thing. And actually, this one is sort of irritating because there's a hostage thing, so you have to do it stealthily, because if you spook them, one or several of them will run off and start killing the hostage. So you have to be a bit stealthy, but it doesn't make it easy for you to be stealthy. Like this one's sort of all right because they're all just like general goons, so and there's a bit of space so you can throw dice and scrap people, that kind of stuff. Most of them are more confined. They've got a heavy guy, which means that, and the only way you can kill a heavy guy is just like by shooting him a lot until really late on. You eventually get like the heavy takedown thing.
There's a wee shuriken. That was
an
enjoyable addition.
Yeah, that is good that it gives you all the kind of like the cool takedown stuff really.
The chain takedowns are quite important for these missions straight away.
But this one, it's like you have to be stealthy, but I think every hostage mission other than this one, there's a heavy, which means you can't be stealthy. So the stealth bit is you have to kind of creep around in the bushes, like taking down these guys as quietly as you can until there's just the heavy left. Yes. Then you can go in and just like repeatedly shotgun them in the face, and they're all like that. And that's also like it's just a little bit like, oh man, Far Cry was better than this.
Yeah, there was just you definitely feel the lack of variation after doing a few of these.
Yeah, and it's not trying to be clever. Like the whole point of these kind of dumb 80s movies is that they're not very sharp. But it's just, I don't know, it just feels like a slightly missed opportunity. And it's just like you've got this like really clever game and you're using it to do some really dumb stuff.
Certain elements of it certainly felt a little bit unpolished. Like I don't know about you, but I found like even just the pause menu was very, very barren. I thought like it just felt like it was a bit of an afterthought.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's another little touch for you where you get, he kind of like throws up the horns and you get an electrical charge every time you level up. But yeah, like the pause menu. I mean, and that's another kind of like 90s throwback thing. It's trying to go back to this kind of retro, really simplistic kind of green screen LCD kind of thing, and that's fine. And again, like the aesthetic, absolutely spot on. It's totally perfect what we want.
You get the map there.
Yeah, so brief glimpse at the map there. It's like this. It's basically the same as like one of the islands from Far Cry 3, and obviously
just much smaller. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a bit smaller. It's angrier. There's I mean. Like you see, just kind of like tooling around. Like even when you clear out the outpost, there are a bunch of guys out there. Like you're just driving down, and there's 2 guys in jeeps. Oh, 3 guys in jeeps, and now they're going to chase me and make life difficult. And even if you clear out all the outposts, they still keep coming. It's not like in Far Cry 3 you can
where there's nobody left.
Yeah, like you'll clear it out, and then it's actually a bit boring. Like here, it never gets. It never gets boring because there's always somebody trying to kill you.
And then, I mean, even aside from the guards, then you've got the ubiquitous blood dragons themselves.
Indeed, yes.
Which are a big challenge, I'd say, certainly in the early stages of the game.
Yeah, definitely, because those are, I think, we'll see one in a bit, but yeah, they're the kind of like the new signature enemy, obviously, and they've got like masses of hit points. They're really hard to kill, which is actually like they're actually best used when you're trying to take down a base.
Yeah,
like you can kind of sneak in and turn off like the dragon repelling shield.
And we've seen earlier there, you collect hearts from the enemies that you kill, and those hearts are actually used as bait to tempt the dragons to where you want them to go. Yeah,
and excuse me. And that's sort of neat, but it's also like a bit simple. Like again, I think like I feels like I'm missing the point. So like using the game being simple because obviously it's supposed to be simple. It's supposed to be dumb. It's supposed to be kind of ridiculous, like firing its gun in the air kind of thing. But like again, Far Cry, like the animals in Far Cry 3, they were always kind of around, and quite often they kind of snuck up on you when it was unexpected and strange, and like you'd be doing something and then suddenly like a cassowary would come in and like ruin everything, or like you'd be planning planning the perfect heist and a tiger would run in and eat all the guards or something like that. This one, there's these kind of cyber animals in here.
Yeah, which are essentially just reskinned versions of the regular animals.
You can see they're kind of like.
So those are mutated cassowaries.
Yes, mutated cassowaries, so they've got a kind of metallic paint finish and like robot eyes, I think.
But essentially, I mean, it's kind of like what you say is, it feels a little bit sort of samey and dumb, but that's kind of, it seems to be they're relying on the fact that, oh my god, it's a dragon with lasers shooting from its eyes to carry you through a 6-hour experience, and it's not quite enough.
Yeah,
I mean, it's almost enough. But
yes, like, and it sounds like that should be enough, right? But when you do and we'll see in a minute, like you can turn the shield, like if you turn the shield off, and the nearest dragon will
comes
automatically
lumbering
come in.
Yeah.
like this, like you just sort of like kind of throwing a heart. That didn't work at this point. Or if you want to take down, so on these ones, you go in, you turn the shield off, the dragon will come in and eat everybody, and then you either just throw a heart and it will go outside, and then the shields will come back up, or you can kill it, which takes ages, and it will probably mess you up quite a lot. So it's easier not to, really. And then if there's some of the smaller missions, you just chuck a heart, and then this thing will like run up, and if it can't get through the shield, it will start zapping people with its laser vision and stuff like that. And they're just really simple. It's like summon dragon, dismiss dragon, that sort of thing. Like it's really rare. Well, actually, at no point when I was playing it did a dragon surprise me.
Yes, you can definitely see them coming a mile away, and like but it's interesting in a way, I suppose, as well, that if you summon a dragon to clear out this garrison, say, you'll then have to deal with the dragon once all the guards are dead. I mean, it's not going to just magically disappear. You have to either kill it or get it outside the base again somehow to actually, finish your takeover.
Yeah, but and so yeah, there is that kind of like tidying up thing. But whenever I was doing it, like you'll see in a second, like summon the dragon. It's like as soon as the dragon's finished eating everybody, you just chuck a heart over the wall, out it goes, shield pops up. Done. And which is alright, but it's just it just feels like when they say blood dragon, it's this thing, and it's got this ridiculous like laser vision thing, and they've got this kind of ridiculous like cough superpower that kind of like vaporizes everything in their path, and all that sort of stuff. But they're not actually
not quite
interesting.
As impressive as you think they might be. I mean, so they they're like big T-Rexes basically, and then they've got like neon covering their body, and from that you can tell whether they're non-threatening, like if they don't notice you. So they go from green to yellow to cautious to red when they're on the aggressive, basically. Which kind of makes them a little bit less threatening, really, if you're just sneaking around them.
Yeah, well, I quite like that as a touch. But again, if there was ever any need to actually be a bit stealthy about it, then you could do that. But there's like one bit where it teaches you that colour thing right at the beginning, and then you never really need it ever again. And then the other kind of complicating factor is like later on they're wearing these like brain control hats.
Oh yeah, the cages.
That you have to. That means they won't attack anything.
Other than you.
Yeah, other than you. So then you've got to like kind of shoot the hat off it, and then it'll start munching on everybody else. Which is like it mixes up a little bit, but again not a lot. And it was just a case of, oh, there's a dragon, I've got to shoot his hat off. Oh right, there we go. It'll just like mess up everybody else, and then at the end of it.
But that only really comes into play maybe 3 times throughout the story.
Something like that. I mean, and the first time I actually had to do it, it was. Once you get the minigun, it's actually quite easy to kill blood dragons. Like you just keep tossing hearts to distract it, and then just keep the minigun on it, and then everything else. That's enough to kind of wipe it out. There was one like right at the beginning before I had the minigun where I shot the cage off, it ran in, ate everybody, and then I was going to snuck past. It found me. And then because obviously it's so huge, it can't deal with like ladders or stairs or anything like that. So then I just kind of hid upstairs in this base whilst it kind of stamped around. Yeah.
So I mean, all you kind of have to do in like an area like this is sort of strafe back and forth, because I mean, it can get you from range with its laser vision. But I mean, if you just keep moving, then it's pretty much a non-threat, really. Yeah,
absolutely. So I just sort of waited for it to get bored and go away, and then, which it did eventually, and I got an achievement for it, which is obviously lovely. And but it was just like it just wasn't as much fun as say in Far Cry 3 when you kind of like where you can kind of shoot cages and let animals out, or kind of see that they're there and wait for them to kind of come and mess it up. It's more this kind of like fucking great thing that you kind of summon and dismiss. And and it's fun the first time.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. He's all red and angry. I'll just help sort of soften up that guard for him. So that's fun, but it's not as when they said like, and I think part of the problem is just I had such high expectations because there's like 80s movies on board, 80s cartoons on board, giant laser firing dragons, yes. And then when you kind of play it all, it's like it's all there, but it's just a little bit.
It's all those details that obviously make it so enticing, but they are just details, like covering up the overall game experience, which in itself is just it's fine.
Yeah. It's just and it's Far Cry 3, and Far Cry 3 is a really good game. Yes, help. But it's not as. It's just not as engaging. It's a bit sillier. It's a bit dafter.
It's got a better soundtrack,
It's got an amazing soundtrack. I mean, I will say this is...
It's awesome. If you love 80s synth, you are well catered for in this game.
I honestly don't think there will be a better soundtrack for any game this year, possibly ever. So yeah, there's some awesome 80s synth. There's like the theme music over the closing credits is absolutely amazing. I kind of don't want to spoil it, but it's yeah, that's very much his party trick there. And this is a fairly good example of how one avoids a blood dragon. You just kind of hide up some stairs, and
you're pretty much safe.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just going to do one now, like video. This is just like kind of like chuck it out there.
There's 2 of them, is there?
No, there's just the one. So yeah, he's just kind of liberated the base, so the scientists have come out.
Very brave scientist.
And there you go. Base liberated.
Captured, yeah.
And yeah, and it's. I mean, it's good. I really like the aesthetic. I really like that. I really like that they made it. I love that Ubisoft decided that right, we're going to take this really successful open world shooter and do this like lunatic 80s.
It's fantastic though, yeah. Because I remember when Far Cry 3 was out, you know, everyone was like, oh my god, dragon or dinosaurs. We have to have a dinosaur version of this. And yeah, it just surpassed everyone's expectations.
Yeah, well, there's still room for that dinosaur stuff, Ubisoft, if you're listening. And yeah, it's good. I endorse it, but it's basically for me it's a 7 out of 10 game. It's like it's really enjoyable. It's really dumb, but it's not clever enough to be kind of really super like worth endorsing. Like the actual all the jokes it has, all the references it has, it's basically nicked from somewhere else. And whilst I really enjoy them, I kind of, you know, I don't want to give it credit for kind of ripping off like a 20-year-old movie sort of thing. I mean, absolutely rip off more 20-year-old movies, but you can't put up a placard and say this is like awesome creativity.
Essentially, a tagline of "I heart the 80s" would work pretty well for this game, and you know, if you live by that, then you have a pretty good idea of what to expect.
Very much so. Okay, so that's us. If you want to read the full review, it's on oxm.co.uk now, and you can also find more of our videos right here on YouTube. And if you enjoy this one, please like and subscribe.